So, we are going to be talking about 5 surefire blog post templates tonight, and this is the second module in the EZBlogPost writing workshop. So, as you guys already know, a lot of you guys have been on multiple workshops with me, so you know my MO. First of all, we're going to talk about getting ready, where we're going to go over some training concepts. And then we're going to get set with some setup and tools that's needed. And then go is all about implementation and making this work for you on your blog and your business. So with the get ready portion, let's review. Number one, last week we talked about how to fill your editorial calendar with irresistible content. And it's my hope that you kind of sat down with your editorial calendar, you put together, you started to use some of that rapid brainstorming techniques that I showed you last week, and that you feel pretty comfortable with the content and the topic ideas that you came up with. You may even have started to do a little bit of your own blog post writing and using some of those techniques that I showed you last week. This week we're going to talk about how to improve your success rate with 5 tested templates. And when I say your success rate, what I mean is that people feel that you are talking to them through your blog post, and then they take action because of what they've read, or because of the authority that you've built, or the reputation or the rapport that you've built with those folks. And you do that by great writing. And tonight what I'm going to do is take you through 5 of my templates that I use all the time on Pushing Social. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but over the last 2 weeks, I've been eating my own dog food, so to speak. I have been posting at least 4 times a week. And I've been doing this just to show you that you can actually do this yourself, but also to give you some examples of some of those templates that I'm using. Today, for example, I used my cultural mashup. I used the Game of Thrones to I used the Game of Thrones as the foundation for my blog post. So that was one of the templates I'm going to be showing you guys tonight. So that's what we're going to go through, and we are recording, and I will have this replay available for everyone. So if you just want to kind of sit back and soak up what you are listening to tonight, what I'm teaching tonight, that's great. If you want to take screenshots, that's fine. But the replay as well as these slides will be available for you in the EZBlogPost writing dashboard that's on the PS Mastermind. So let's review some concepts here. Number one, why use templates? I think sometimes, I know a long time ago, I should say maybe 6 months ago, I wrote about templates, and somebody really blasted me, and they said, Stan, I don't like using templates because templates restrict my creativity. And I believe exactly the opposite. I believe that templates inspire creativity because they standardize the technique so you can be creative with the ingredients. Now, everyone knows that there's, at least a dozen different omelets out there, but they all use, the same basic ingredients. You need eggs, you need to have non-stick pan, you need to have a good quality butter, and that whole process of kind of building an omelet is the same. But the chef can be incredibly creative with the types of omelets because the technique is standardized, but they can be creative with the ingredients. And I think you're going to see that tonight. Second thing is that structure holds your reader's attention, because subconsciously, if they kind of know the structure that you're using, if you're using a problem solution application structure and they've seen that from you on a number of times, then they will kind of get comfortable with that structure, and it kind of holds their attention because they kind of know what to expect. But the thing to understand here is that when you go to the movies, you're going to rarely see a new type of movie story. Hollywood doesn't break any new ground in terms of the type of stories that they tell. They tell the exact same stories in different formats all the time, but we are always entertained. I'm looking forward to seeing Superman, or I should say Man of Steel, tomorrow, and I know what that's going to be about. That's, a person who is trying to understand their identity. This is the classic hero story type. Okay, so they're going to be living in the normal world. They're going to get a challenge. They're going to be inspired, or they're going to be challenged to really look deep in themselves and find that special part of them that they got to really hone and they got to refine. And they're going to bring that new hero to the world. They're going to attract friends, they're going to attract mentors, and they're going to go into the belly of the beast, and they're going to be during their darkest hour when they're fighting the villain. The villain's going to look like that he's got the upper hand or she has got the upper hand, but that hero is going to go to a new level, really embrace who they are, and then they're going to bring their new talisman, or they're going to bring their new magic to the world, and the world is going to accept them. That is the exact same story that George Lucas told in Superman, that the Wachowski brothers told in The Matrix, okay? These are not new story types, but there's endless ways of telling that story, okay? So that structure, and the structure I just kind of laid out to you for Superman, that's the hero's journey. We use that structure all the time. And people see it coming, but they're always entertained, okay? So, oops, I went backwards. Let me see here. I was wondering where I was going with that. Let's buzz right through that real quick. I got excited talking about the hero's journey there. So, and hopefully I didn't make you hungry with showing that omelet. I know I actually made me an omelet right after making this slide. Okay, so let's talk about your tools. All right, so first of all, let's talk about the outline. And I always have one rule, and I'm going to give you this rule. Always start with an outline, okay? If you sit down with a plain piece of paper and you're going to think you're going to put together a finished post from a plain piece of paper, you might be able to do it, okay? But it's going to be a lot harder to do it unless you have an outline, okay? And really what an outline does is it allows you to take a step back and kind of get that 10,000 foot view of what you're going to write. Okay, and it gives you a blueprint of how you're going to put that together. So you're not winging it sentence by sentence, but you're following your own recipe. You're following your own blueprint for building that blog post. So when you have this blueprint and after you've created your outline, you can sit down and start asking yourself some really good questions that really help you refine what you're working on. So you'll be able to answer the question, is your post focused on one idea, okay? Or are you supporting the main idea with very good evidence-based support, okay? So will your for whatever your subject is, will your reader be able to follow what your main idea is and be able to kind of build that story? Is your post short enough or to hold attention but long enough to make your point? Okay, when you see an outline, I really can see very quickly if I'm going to go off the rails, if this is a bigger post than I intended, just by outlining it, and I can see where I'm at. Okay, do you have all the elements you need? Do you have a great lead? Now, do you have a meaty body? Is there a lot of great detail in your post? Is there a riveting close? Will people end on a crescendo, or will they end with this thought that I got to take an action now to satisfy my curiosity or to follow through with what I read? The next tool that you are going to need is a purpose, and this is just simply, why are you writing? Okay, and I find that when I sit down and I realize that I'm just writing just to add another blog post to Pushing Social, I'm not inspired by that. And I usually get up and walk away until I understand why I am sitting down to write. Okay, and when I have that purpose in mind, I always type it at the top of my post. A lot of times, the purpose of why I'm writing is the headline. Okay, so money blogging was a post that I wrote 2 days ago. Okay, and really my purpose there was to really show people that you don't have to get a lot of readers to your blog. You just have to be able to work hard with the readers you have, and that was the whole money blogging approach. Okay, which incidentally used a blog post template I'm going to teach you. Okay, so here's some examples of the purpose of why you're writing. Get people to subscribe to your blog posts. Okay, so if you really want to inspire people or motivate people to sign up for blog updates, give them a reason to do so. Write a great blog post and then tell them, if you want to get more posts like this, subscribe. Okay, another thing is to get people to download your lead magnet or to make people aware of a problem. And a lot of times, especially if you're running a business, you need to generate demand. And you generate demand by making sure that they're aware of their problem. Okay, so that could be another reason why, another purpose why you're writing your blog post. It could be to offer a solution to a specific problem, and so on. Okay, so the next piece is, the next tool is, what is the reader's outcome? All right, what do you want your reader to be able to do? So what will your reader get out of the post? And some of those examples are pretty straightforward. You can be that you want your reader to walk away with specific how-to steps, okay? Or a list of curated resources, inspiration and motivation. Sometimes I sit down and I just want my readers to feel great about what they're doing and what their day is going to entail. I want them to feel motivated that they can really impact the future of their business with their content and with their blog. That's it, okay? Another thing is you can give somebody a different perspective, give them a different point of view about something that they're dealing with on a daily basis, or a cause or a purpose. If you are writing for the nonprofit genre, okay, one of my clients is a nonprofit marketer, and a lot of times she is just writing just to get across or to inform or promote a cause or a purpose. So you really have to have a very specific outcome in mind. And when you have that specific outcome in mind, you can guide your reader towards that. And that purpose gives new life, okay? Gives a undercurrent of energy to your blog post, if you can understand that. Oftentimes when I read a blog post and it feels mechanical and flat, it's just because the writer is just going through the motions. They really haven't had my goals in mind. They're not trying to get me somewhere. They're just trying to put words down on a piece of paper. Okay, so I'm going to stop there because I've been going kind of quick because I have a lot of content and I didn't want to spend too much time here. But is everyone tracking with me? If you're tracking with me, go ahead and type in amen. Give me an amen. Okay, good. You guys are out there. Awesome. So here's the next step. Let's talk about Go. And we're going to get down into the nitty gritty. And I hope I don't lose people tonight, but I really want to make sure that you understand how to construct these blog posts, okay, for yourself and for your blog. So we're going to go through the 5 surefire blog post templates, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just an example, okay, of selling an environmentally friendly household cleaner. Okay, and I think that's something that one of the folks who are in the workshop, they're putting together a blog, a business around this. So I want to kind of help out with this. But you can see that, a environmentally friendly or a green cleaning product is a little bit difficult. Okay, it's very specific, but I just want to show you that you can use these 5 surefire blog post templates with that cleaner. All right, so let's dive in here. Number 1 is this pop culture mashup, okay? And really the pop culture mashup has 4 pieces to it. You have the event, okay, or the celebrity or the circumstance that is everyone's talking about. So you need to start there. Then you have your lessons learned, specific application, call to action. All right, so how would I use a green cleaning product and how would I wrap this pop culture mashup around it? Okay, everyone understand that I am not an expert in green cleaning products, but I am an expert in how to basically make any blog post template fit a product. So let's take a look at it. So number 1 is I love to hate Gwyneth Paltrow. And if everyone knows, Gwyneth Paltrow is really big in the blogging space. It seems that everything she does is uber clean and uber safe. Although she gets on my nerves, sometimes I grudgingly admire her focus on safeguarding our home and children from hidden toxins. So right then, you're kind of grabbing the popular pop cultural icon, which is Gwyneth Paltrow. Anybody who is probably in this green, environmentally clean, being healthy type of space, they probably are familiar with what Gwyneth Paltrow is doing online. Okay. Second thing is I thought it was time to really take a look at some of Paltrow's directives and see how a middle-class, time-starved single woman can actually make it work. So here you're kind of leading into these lessons learned, okay? And you're making this connection between your audience and this pop cultural icon or the event or the circumstance that you're embracing there, okay? So, number 1, know your ingredients. Number 2, everything should be edible. Number 3, pay a little more for peace of mind. So again, you're kind of taking what Gwyneth Paltrow may have been talking about and applying it to this specific area, the specific area that you're focusing in on. And each one of those areas could have a quote, okay, from Gwyneth Paltrow, to kind of flesh out each one of those areas. And then you move into the specific application. So there are several products that I use and endorse that follows the same environmentally friendly and personally responsible guidelines, okay? And then you go ahead and outline that. And then you can kind of slip in there our product, Green Clean, can literally be added to a glass of lemonade. The lemonade will be a bit more sour, but it will still be 100% safe to drink. Okay, so it's kind of like using that aha wow factor, but also getting across and still making that connection between the product and what you've been talking about in the rest of the blog post. And then the call to action, which I think is super important. I think a lot of people kind of fade away when they get to the bottom of their blog post, okay? If you are guilty of doing that, go ahead and say amen, because I know everybody does it. You get to the end of that 700 words and you fade away. You go to sleep, okay, on your audience, okay? So here I like to say that you really need to add that punch at the end. Okay, so open your cleaning closet and take an inventory of the products you've stashed away. Can they pass the Paltrow test? Talk to me about what you plan to do next. So then this is kind of waking people up and kind of getting them back into the post. Okay, guys, forgive me for any typos or grammar here. I focused on getting the words down on paper so you can see what I'm talking about. So please forgive any typos you might see. All right, so everyone's still with me? Good. So let's move on to the next one. This one was the pop culture mashup. Okay. And by the way, I used the pop culture mashup, like I said in my post today about Game of Thrones. But really, I discovered this about 3 years ago when I wrote my Lady Gaga's 8-point guide to spectacular blog post writing, or to spectacular blogging. Okay, and that literally vaulted Pushing Social to another level. It got put on a couple of lists in terms of top blogs because it caught the eyes of a lot of people. And I remember getting over 1,000 readers within the first 24 hours of putting that blog post up, just because it was able to use that pop culture mashup to great effect. All right. Can you see how you can use this template in your blog post writing? If you can, give me a yes. Good. Great. So I look forward to kind of seeing that on your blogs if you can use that, okay? So the next one is why, what, how, what if. Let me give you the kind of the story of the background. You may have heard me talk about this before, but those who haven't, I'm just going to give you a quick background. This why, what, how, what if method is actually called the 4MAT, number 4 MAT learning method, and is actually used by educators, and educators kind of know that, and studies have shown that people kind of fall into these 4 areas, this why, what, how, what if area. The why are people who need to have an emotional reason before they do anything. They need to know the why. They need that why to connect with their emotions before they will try to learn anything. There's people who want the logical, scientific evidence before they move forward. And that's your what people. You have people who need to see the steps and be able to get their hands on it before they move forward. And then you have the what if people. People who have to kind of be inspired and their imagination kind of set on fire by all of the applications. They have to be able to see how it can be applied to their world. Okay? So this method, and people kind of fall into this method, and you can use a why only in your blog post, or you can use the what only in your blog post, but I say that you should use all 4 if you can, and this is how it can be laid out. Why you should act, what is the logical evidence, how to apply my advice, and where else can you apply my advice. Okay, so you can kind of create this power-packed little morsel in doing each one of these. So this is how you can apply it to our Green Clean product. Number 1, most of my girlfriends have reached a point where their fear of the C word, cancer, has taken over their lives. They're definitely afraid that home, workplace, even the park is filled with carcinogens that could threaten their health. Okay, then we move into what is the logical evidence. So that first part there was that emotional wallop. Okay, so if anybody's been there, and I'm quite frankly, I'm getting to that point where I'm wondering, like, what are the carcinogens in my environment that I'm unaware of? I'm unaware of. So this logical evidence is, thankfully, most of their fears are unfounded, but one area is still a problem. Our homes, specifically our kitchens and bathrooms. These rooms are under constant chemical attack. According to the Association of Consumer Safety, the solutions and agents are getting effective and cheaper, but unfortunately, they are also getting more lethal. So again, you have this Association of Consumer Safety, this study that's kind of providing that logical evidence behind this particular fear. Okay, and then you move into how to apply my advice. So I bet you've wanted to toss the obvious offenders but hesitated because you weren't sure what to use instead, or you've been afraid that your local grocery store would not have a green alternative. Let me put your mind at ease. Where to find green products, how to create green products, near green substitutes. So here you kind of are applying your advice. You're solving the problem, but you're applying that how piece to there. So the person in your audience that really wants to get their hands dirty, they can really get that meaty advice right in the middle there. And the last piece is, where else can you apply my advice? How I would do it is say you can use the same approach for other parts of your green campaign. I've been able to safely swap out dubious foods, hair care products, and even lawn care products with this approach. So you can see there that you're taking that same core how piece and you're applying it to other areas, which makes your what if people feel like they've been served. Okay, they can start to see now, wow, I can apply that in other areas, which makes this especially valuable to me. Okay, the why, what, how, what if template, I like to use that at least once a month. It's kind of one of those big tents that you can kind of gather everybody in on. Everyone, when they get to this post and they start reading it, everybody gets a little bit of something. Okay, it's like you're a blog post buffet. All right, so I really encourage you to really find a way to use this in your editorial calendar because it is a workhorse. It's a blue collar blog post workhorse. Okay, so does everyone see how you can use that why, what, how, what if in your blog posts? Okay, great. And do you have a blog post in mind that you can use it for? Are you thinking about one right now that you think you can use it for? I'm sure you can. Great. I'm glad that this is going to help you. A lot of the times I start off using the why, what, how, what if method, and I use that as my foundation, and then I pivot to another method. Okay, because now that I have, this why, what, how, what if is a nice outline and it kind of gets all my pieces in place, and then I use that to spin off into a pop cultural mashup, so a lot of times this is where I will start. Okay, next let's talk about the comparison blog template, and how this works is you introduce your hero and then you describe their best characteristics. And then you cite the similarities between the hero and what your product is, or what your interest is, or what your subject is, okay? And then you end up with this application call to action, all right? So right now you're trying to rub off a little bit of, or you're trying to ride on the coattails of your hero, okay? Your hero can be a very simple thing, like I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so we start off with, you know what? The lemon has gotten a bad rap, all right? So a broken car is called a lemon. Anything that fails to live up to expectations is called a lemon. Hell, cowards are called yellow. But in over 3 years of research, I haven't found a more effective, powerful, and useful fruit than the lemon, right? So this is introducing the hero, and it's just something as simple as the lemon, all right? And then you go into, thankfully, most of their fears are unfounded, but one area is still a problem. Oh, my goodness, I actually put the wrong thing in here. I didn't have my cut and paste went awry, folks. Sorry about that. Let me see here. Okay, lemon, in spite of its bad rap, could be the mascot for many of the best cleaning products. Okay, and this is where I wanted to go. Lemon is nature's ingredient, detergent. Lemon has many uses. Lemon is safe in any situation. And then you go into your application call to action, flip over that product you're using, see lemon in the ingredients list. Most likely you're not holding a green. If you don't see lemon in the ingredients list, most likely you're not holding a green product. What are you going to do about that? So there's your call to action. So kind of got off track here with my little typo there, but you can see how you can use your lemon, and then you can describe the best characteristics of it, okay? And then go from there and then make a comparison with your particular product. Okay, so I think I might take another stab at that and actually put that blog post in the dashboard so you can really see how that comparison comes together. All right, let's talk about contrast. So contrast works by having a villain. And I think if you've been on any of my blog posts, on my workshops before, you know that I really like using a villain to really create a contrast. I always like to say that you can't, you don't understand how beautiful the diamond is until you see it on that black velvet. The exact same thing works for your contrast. So you really want to introduce your villain there. So here in this case, I say nothing like coming home to the fresh scent of lavender wafting through every room. Problem is, your air freshener could be aggravating your allergies, even slowly poisoning you. The culprit, B or P, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. I think that's dichlorobenzene. And that's actually a real chemical in air fresheners. I did do a little bit of research. Okay, so right now we're introducing this villain, PD. Okay, then we move into air freshener designers have to conquer a specific challenge. A spritz of freshener usually dissipates within a few minutes. They need something to help their aroma stick around longer. That's where PD comes in. It's profitable but harmful. Here's why. So now we're starting to go into why this villain is a villain. We're trying to describe its worst characteristics. And here we go. PD, long life means more time to assault your mucous membranes. PD is derived from petroleum distillates, which is a known carcinogen. PD in concentrated form has been known to cause irritation to cellular membranes. It's safe for the home because powerful companies lobby for a loophole that allows it to show up in your home. Okay, so now we're really making this villain out. All right, but here we go to the rescue. Your subject, the contrast. There is no alternative. Citrus. Yep. The same stuff that makes your kitchen smell great when you make a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Combine citrus with other edible green products and you get the active ingredient in green air freshener alternatives. Okay? So we've pivoted, we've turned the corner, and it's really cool because your reader right now is kind of going, what am I going to do? Okay, they're probably here looking at the air freshener that's plugged in to their outlet, their Glade air freshener, and they're wondering if they're sniffing or they're, inhaling PD right there. And then you make this pivot where you can do this contrast. Okay, so citrus is safe, citrus is abundant, citrus is even good for you. And then you follow this up with an application. Follow these steps to create your own homemade citrus-based air freshener substitutes. And that's how you can use the contrast version of this. Okay? So I'm going to stop here really quickly, and I just want to know if there's any questions. I'm willing to do just a couple of questions in the middle here before I move on to the next piece, because I really need to make sure that you guys understand these blog post templates. Okay? So go ahead and just throw out a question really quickly. I'm going to grab my Rubio glass of water here. Okay, good. Doesn't look like there's any questions. It looks like everybody's getting it. All right? All right, good. All right, we're going to keep moving forward. I want to make sure that my audio and everything's here. You guys been a little bit quiet tonight. Cool. All right, here we go. So we're going to move into, and I think I have a bonus for everybody here. Oh, no, we have one more to go. Problem, solution, application. This is actually, I think, yeah, it is my favorite. I kind of like using the pop culture mashup a lot, but I really like using this problem, solution, application. This is how it works. You vividly describe the problem, you detail the solution, and you give them the application. It's a 1, 2, 3 punch. It's a combination that is really quick and a pinch. You can kind of get it out there pretty quickly. But in order to use it, you really have to have in mind some of your problems that your audience is facing and how you can provide a solution. Okay, so you got to have those in mind first. So let's see how it works for our green product here. Number one, calcium deposits. Simply, calcium builds up over time in your home's pipes. Slowly the deposits block shower heads, sinks, even toilets. Okay, so that's me describing this problem. While this is annoying, the real problem is getting rid of calcium deposits. That's where the old skull and crossbones is invited into our homes and given permission to play with our children. We buy these cleaners by the gallon and dump them into our pipes, where their residue sticks around, causing allergic and even cancer-related problems for years. So I've just vividly described this problem. Okay, is anyone else kind of wondering what you have in your home right now? I think I'm freaking myself out with this. So next thing you move into, if you are horrified by this, then stick around. I have 7 ways to break up and wash away calcium deposits in your plumbing using all natural cleansers that you probably already have in your pantry. So again, I'm grabbing people, I'm hooking people, and I'm getting them to kind of move into this post with the solution. Okay, so you just go ahead and outline your solutions here. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, by the way, just so you guys know, 7 is kind of a magical number for people. It seems to be that number. I don't know if it's because it's 7 days in the week or what, but tests have shown that people kind of gravitate towards the number. That's why you're going to see that in pricing. That's why you're going to see it in a lot of list post headings, okay? Because 7 seems to grab people's attention. It's not as neat as 6 and 8, not as tension filled as 9. It seems just right. So it's probably the Goldilocks number, okay? And then the last thing is your application. Your call to action is go and check right now to make sure you have the ingredients. If not, click here and purchase my green clean box with all of the ingredients measured in the right amounts and ready to make a gallon of green cleaner. Okay, so that's kind of like a nice little pivot there, right? So you're not only providing an application, but you're giving people your product. Okay, this green clean box that a person can buy from you, mix up their own solution for this green cleaner. So I think that's actually a product idea that I can license to one of you guys who are on the webinar. So that's cool. So problem solution application. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to license it. You can have the idea. So that is problem solution application. Moving on. This last one here is a bonus. Okay, there's number 6, and I call it the Spartan Square. And actually, I cannot take credit for this. The Spartan Square came up was talked about by an author that I like a lot. He's kind of gotten himself into hot water with some pretty controversial and provocative books. His name is Ryan Holiday. Okay, you can look him up on Google. And he came up with this Spartan Square. Ryan is very focused on really coming up with ways to really persuade people and write really persuasive press releases, marketing copy, and blog posts. And this is something he's come up with, and actually I used it for a good 6 months, and it really helped a lot, and it's very effective. So first you start off with, and it starts with, let me give you the background of why you have the Spartans at the bottom here. The Spartans and really the Greek phalanx for decades, centuries even, was an effective fighting formation. Okay, so the Spartans would get into this I think it was made up of 265 men, and this square, the Spartan Square, was unbeatable, okay, on the battlefield. So that's where he took it from. And every side of the Spartan Square was secure and was ready, was indefensible, really, in a lot of ways. So you start with attention-getting hook, okay, a fact we all can agree with. And then you have your attention-getting supporting hooks, okay, on each side. And then you have your closing that closed up or really represented the rear of your Spartan Square. So in this case, really this is a provocative blog post method. This is not for the faint of heart. This is where you just need to punch through and get people's attention. Okay, so number one, we are killing ourselves. This is our attention getting hook. Now, and if you were to read that, even if that was the headline, we are killing ourselves, it would make you just kind of go, whoa, wait a second, what's going on here? All right. Number two, you have the precursor chemicals for sarin gas under your sink. Okay, so that's another, again, this is a attention getting supporting hook. Okay, it supports this notion that we're killing ourselves because in our kitchens, underneath our sinks, at least in my family, that's where we put all the cleaning chemicals for the kitchen. We have the precursor for sarin gas. Really? Number three, you're being told these chemicals are safe, not because they have been tested, but because their creators have paid off the right regulator. Now that's just another grenade kind of thrown in the pot. And of course, with each one of these, there are supporting evidence for each one of these. Okay, that kind of grabs a person by the lapels at the beginning and just hangs on to them. Okay, and then the close is you can fight back by choosing not to buy these chemicals and funding your own health crisis. Okay, guys, isn't that pretty powerful? I mean, like, if you were to write a post like this, it would get noticed. People would comment on it. People would share it because this is kind of a grab you by the jugular type of blog post approach. Now, here's the thing about it, and I want you guys to really listen to me here. I have no problem with being provocative. I have no problem with getting attention. I have no problem with cutting through the clutter because I believe that my message is worth it and I can support my message. If you can support your message, okay, if you are passionate about what you are doing, if you can follow it up, okay, and you're not just being sensational to be sensational, but you actually are talking about something that matters to people, then use these methods, okay? I think some people are kind of afraid of kind of ruffling feathers because they don't want to offend someone. And that's not what I'm talking about here. Offending people is doing stuff that just makes things personal just to make them personal. I'm talking about using very sound evidence, but using attention-getting methods to kind of cut through the clutter. Okay, so if I have the precursors for sarin gas underneath my sink, if I have carcinogens underneath in my cleaning products, I want you to grab me and let me know. Okay, hook me up. Let me know what's going on. Use this Spartan square method. Okay, I kind of use this as my nuclear method. Every once a year, I write a post that is a Spartan square that kind of hits people square in the gut. Okay, I usually put these as guest posts. I usually give them to other people to put on their blogs. Okay, but it's a very effective method. All right, so that's the Spartan square. Are you going to be able to use that one? Cool. I know a couple of you. I'm going to be seeing some Spartan squares probably tomorrow. Okay, on your blog post. And I'm going to smile, and I'm going to retweet it. Make sure you email me and let me know if you kick off a Spartan Square or any of these methods tomorrow. I want to support you. Cool. So let's move to the next phase here. So we talked about our blog post types. I gave you 5 plus a bonus. Okay, the Spartan Square. So we're going to keep moving forward. Next, we're going to talk about what I call cherry toppers, okay? And these cherry toppers are ways for you to add some quick finishing touches to your blog post, okay? Just that cherry on top of the whipped cream, all right? So number one, kill your first paragraph. This is usually your worst one. Okay, and I do this all the time. This is called throat clearing. When you write, you start off with this kind of mamby-pamby, milquetoast, warm and fuzzy, weird type of paragraph. Okay, and it kind of warms you up and kind of gets you into your subject, and by your second paragraph, you're kind of cruising. All right, what I've learned is that most of the time, I can totally delete that first paragraph and be just fine. Okay, and what that happens is that by deleting that first paragraph, I jump right into the action. All right, and by jumping right into the action, it really gives my reader kind of shocks them and kind of gets them their attention sharpened and into the blog post. So killing your first paragraph works really good. Second is start with a question. I have found that probably the third most effective method or I should say punctuation that I use is the question mark. Okay, the exclamation point is number one. No, actually, I would probably move my question up to number two. A question mark is very powerful. Okay, so you start your blog post off with a question, such as, do you know that you have the precursors for sarin gas in your home? Question mark. All of a sudden people start paying attention. Okay, and you can use it for your particular area. For example, did you know that Excel skills or Excel using skills is one of the prerequisites for promotion? Did you know that most people can speak 3 foreign languages effortlessly by using 2 simple methods? Okay, who out there wouldn't want to go, wait a second, I want to listen a little bit closer to that? Okay, so that's how you can use a question just to kind of get things going. Write in the second person. Use you, us, and we. I hate the third person. I know if you're writing for a business, they're going to tell you use the third person. But I really like using you a lot, and us and we. So it feels like I am sitting next to you at Ruby Tuesdays and we're having a conversation. Okay. And it's, you and me just talking. All right. And if it was you and me just talking and I was using the third person, you would think that I'm a megalomaniac or you think I'm a little off, right? So why in the heck do we use it in blog posts? I just have no clue. All right. And if you're supposed to be doing formal writing, then write a white paper and be done with it. But don't use it for blog posts. Okay. It just kind of gets on my nerves. It's a personal pet peeve and it just doesn't work. All right. Use short sentences to quicken your tempo. Okay, so what I mean by this is don't be afraid to use 2-3 word sentences, because what that means is that a person is able to read that sentence pretty quickly and it quickens the pace. All right, and I use this all the time. I use short, choppy sentences to kind of give a staccato machine gun blast, and people are kind of like they're hanging on for dear life because they feel like they're rocketing through the post. Okay, so you can use short sentences to quicken your tempo as well. Okay, and write like you're passing a note, not submitting a thesis. I don't, my kids are in elementary and middle school right now. My oldest one got in trouble for passing notes in class, and it kind of brought me back to when I was in middle school and I was passing notes in class. And the notes were always, if you think back to the notes you passed in class, they are always passionate and to the point. All right, do you like me? Yes or no? All right, there was no like lead up. There was no, it was just a question. Do you like me? Yes or no? All right, you got to get back to passing notes to your readers, and I do this all the time. Even in my email messages, I try to be as personal as I can. All right, you will find that people will you'll build instant rapport with your readers because they feel like they're not being marketed to or talked to, but they feel like they're being talked with. Okay, you're having a conversation with them. I really like that. So write like you are passing a note, not submitting a thesis. Okay, and I told you we're going to go through quick, but I think we went through a lot of great things tonight, okay, in the workshop. So right now I'm open to any one of your questions. If you need demonstrations, I'm open for that as well, but I really want to make sure that you don't leave tonight with you having a question mark in your mind about how to apply those blog post templates to your writing.